Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Centennial Podcast. And today we want to discuss a little rumor that popped up in the rumor mill today, thanks to the good old Elliotte Friedman, who on his 32 Thoughts podcast brought up the fact that the Sens were looking everywhere for a defenseman, which I think Sens fans have known for quite some time that Ottawa and Pierre Dorion have been looking for a right-handed defenseman to slot into the top four. But apparently, according to Elliotte Friedman, Ottawa even called the Chicago Blackhawks to talk about defenseman Seth Jones. And so that was quite interesting. And Ben, I'll throw it over to you and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's no surprise that the Sens are looking for a top four D man on the right hand side. We've known that since the summer. We've identified that on this podcast, and I'm sure every other Sens podcast out there that's a hole that we need to fill. I don't think that Seth Jones is the guy that could fill that hole, and it sounds like those talks aren't really going anywhere. And I think that's probably for the best. I think it would be barking up the wrong tree for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, Seth Jones carries a cap hit of $9.5 million per year until 2029-30. And that also includes a hefty $5 million signing bonus every year. Which is just not the kind of contract that Sens want or need to take on in order to fill this hole. As far as I see it, that would be far too much of an investment for a right-hand D, when what we really need is a reliable and relatively inexpensive shutdown guy. Basically, Artem Zub 2.0. Like if Artem Zub has a brother or a cousin or something with a similar skill set, that's basically what we need. And I think that investing in a player like Seth Jones, who has some pedigree but who has underwhelmed since he's been in Chicago, would not be filling the hole that we need, and I think would be giving us something that we already have in players like Chabot and Sanderson, reliable puck moving defensemen who have offensive upside and can quarterback a power play. That's not what we need. What we need is the guys to just shut it down, hold the line, and to partner up with Chabot and Sanderson. And I think that, I can't imagine that Seth Jones and his skill set would mesh especially well on a similar pairing with Sanderson or Chabot. And if bringing him on meant pushing him down the lineup or pushing one of them down the lineup, well, then what are you doing?
Yeah, and I think going back to one of your first points about the cap hit, and not just the cap hit itself, but the signing bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
$5 million a year for the next 7 years in signing bonus money. Now, obviously, with new ownership coming in, that might not be an issue anymore. In the Melnick era, as everyone listening knows, that was more of an issue. Um, might not be an issue with new ownership, but I just don't see the Sens taking on a deal that has that much money in signing bonuses. And beyond that, going back to the cap hit, like $9.5 million a year, that is a lot of money. And if you're trying to fit guys like Alex DeBrincat and Artem Zub under the
Mm-hmm.
salary cap for next year, that's not going to help your situation there. And I agree, like I don't think they need a guy who has a history of. I wouldn't say that Seth Jones has ever been like a super offensive defenseman. He's had some good offensive seasons, but he's not like an Erik Karlsson type player where
Mm-hmm.
their point of being in the lineup is to get
Mm-hmm.
points. So yeah, I agree. I don't think he's the right fit. I think finding a guy who can slot on that right side, who complements a player like Chabot or Sanderson, like you were saying, is ideal for the Ottawa Senators. So yeah, that's kind of my take. For those of you who know Graeme Nichols, he put out an article about this, and it was pretty well done. And like me, he went to HockeyViz to kind of see what the advanced analytics are showing. And I was actually kind of surprised that in his entire career, I think he's only ever had like one season where he was actually a positive in expected goals for at even strength, which is shocking to me. I would have thought that Seth Jones would have been more of a play driver at even strength. But yeah, apparently his third season in the league is where he peaked for his 5-on-5 impact on offense. Um, However, his defensive impacts haven't been bad this season or last season. They've been fine, which is interesting. But you're not paying $9.5 million for a guy who's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's just way too much money for a guy who's playing, like I'd say a two, maybe a bit more than that $1 million defenseman, not a $9.5 million defenseman. But yeah, I was just wondering if you had any other thoughts on that.
Not much other than to say that it makes sense that this deal didn't go anywhere, or seemingly didn't go anywhere. I think that it's you have to do your due diligence. You have to talk to all the other GMs. I know Elliotte mentioned that the Sens had recently done a deal with Chicago, bringing DeBrincat here, and so that it's a team that's fresh in your mind. It's a phone number that's near the top of the pile for Dorion. So I understand doing the due diligence, but I think he knew, and I think hopefully everybody knew that it's not really the kind of fit that we're going for. It's like you were saying, 9.5 million for a defenseman who is only fine defensively when what we really need from our back end right now is someone who is strong defensively and can shut down and can pair well with a guy like Sanderson or Shabbat or even Brandstrom. I mean, like that's what we're looking for. We don't need something flashy. We kind of have some flash in the lineup already. This is really, we're looking for a workman-like kind of solution here, and Seth Jones is just not that guy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bennett, for sure. And hopefully the right opportunity comes along for a defenseman who really fits the Sens lineup, and Pierre Dorion and Ryan Bonus can make that move.
Yeah.
On that note, thanks everybody for watching. Just a short little video from us. Just wanted to touch on this that came to light today. So thank you for watching. If you like our content, please consider subscribing to us. You can catch us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Discord. Yeah, we're on all of those. So follow us at Senstennial or the Senstennial, and appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next video.
See you later.
Go Sens, go.